Welcome to Enlightened Evolution.
I'm Cay.
And I'm Christina.
We're here to discuss the ebb and flow of our soul's healing and transformation through self-reflection, choosing intentionally, honoring thyself, and following your inner guide.
Thank you for joining this safe space with us.
Good morning, everybody. We're discussing today what our vision of love is and ways you can explore and create your own vision of love. How are you doing today, my dear?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. I've had a very productive morning. I have my antioxidants here, my raw blueberry juice. It makes me just feel refreshed. So, hydration is the word for the day because I've been lacking that.
Same. I've got my water bottle here.
Oh, I like
No
that. Oh,
yummy
that's
blueberry,
pretty.
though.
I got a cup
I love
like that.
anything iridescent.
Yeah, I have a black and green iridescent cup like that. I love that. Okay, so for me, this has been an evolving practice through multiple failed relationships. Those relationships have been my greatest teachers and given me such profound knowing what I need from somebody to embody to align with me and things I embody now in order to give somebody else the love that they deserve. I love that you and I, for this episode, are on complete opposite sides of the spectrum. I'm single, absolutely not involved with anybody, and you're freshly married and found the love of your life and your soulmate. My soulmate's out there. I'm coming, baby. Don't you worry.
Absolutely.
So, this is something I did recently. I am a firm believer that what you put out into the universe, ask the universe for it if you would like to manifest it into your life. I wrote a very detailed, descriptive letter to the universe of what I want to embody and what I want somebody else to have within themselves to align with me. I shortened up that letter quite a bit to be able to fit into this episode. But I believe the first step is if you have a vision of love, or you don't really know what your vision of love is and you just begin to explore that because you're single, haven't found somebody, or even if you're with somebody and you want to create some new energy within that relationship, I think the first step is to really know how you feel and what you want and what you desire, and write a list to be able to have the universe give that to you. I think I'll start off with, if you want to just go back and forth with the things that we hold dear to what we envision our love should be. I think it's all about building a healthy foundation in your relationship. Your relationship with yourself, first and foremost. Are you right within yourself? Have you established ways within yourself that you also require from your future partner? I think it all starts with us.
Right. We can't expect something of someone else that we don't embody ourselves.
Absolutely. I know that for me, I need a man that's very masculine in a way that I feel protected by him, provided by him. I need a connection to build very slowly and steady, but also very consistent. A slow growing love to build trust during the learning process of each other. Is
Yeah,
that what
that
you experienced?
patience.
Did you experience that with Jordan?
Yes, and I think we moved somewhat fast, maybe slower than most of my other relationships. In
Mhm.
comparison to my previous relationships, yes, it was slower, but other people might compare it and think no. I want so I had a relationship. I'm probably going to get quite spiritual in this episode, because
Mhm.
love is a spiritual thing to me. And I had a relationship right before my spiritual awakening where that person, when I was with that person, I felt so filled with love and like on cloud nine and like a fairy tale, basically. And then when that relationship ended, I felt like I'm never going to feel that ever again in my life. And I would like keep our pictures and videos in my phone for the longest time because I felt like that was my only connection to feeling that deeply in love. Then came my spiritual awakening where I realized that I pulled this quote from Ram Dass because I just absolutely love him. And it talks about relationships and it says, "You are the key that unlocks the place in my heart where I am love." So a
Mm,
lot of times we aren't taught that we are love and we aren't taught where to access that. And we look to partners and to parents and to other people to confirm that we're lovable and to embody love with us and play this little game of this person loves me and I'm receiving love. But when we can actually access the part of us that is love, we can embody it at all times. Ram Dass has another quote that I'm trying to find it in my notes here. It's recognizing love is recognizing the beloved in each other, the oneness. And it's one playing as two. So in what I believe is we all are one. We are all experiencing ourselves from different point of view, but that we are all connected in one. So it's kind of this, you and I are we are essentially one, but we are playing this role as two people and we're playing out this love for each other.
absolutely. I think that's so often forgot about. And if you're a very spiritual person and you're with somebody that's not spiritual, they're not going to be opening to learning this. And that would be very hard. So definitely spiritual alignment is the like one of the tip top things for my vision of love with somebody. Well, we do all come from the same creator, from the same source of love. And when we leave, we go back to that. I think our souls go back to that. So there never has to be like the competition in the relationships, the fear and all the pain and anxieties that we bring into relationships if we all just recognize and remember that we all come from the same source. I agree with you. Yeah, I love that.
I, I think love is when we are in a when we are in love, and I don't mean in love in a romantic way, when we are embodying love, we are releasing our ego. So I don't think that those two things, I think the ego plays a part in our existence. And it's not like, oh, you just need to kill your ego and it goes away. No, it does play an essential part in survival.
Mhm.
But when you are in love, you are not attaching to that ego and the I need this for me and I need that for me. And you really just embody the idea that this person in front of me is worthy of love simply because they exist.
That's right. And unfortunately, our conditioning, how we're brought up, our cultures, technology, religion, whatever it may be, teaches us what we deserve, what others deserve, teaches us what love is, even if it's a false teaching. And I suppose if you're in alignment with something, it doesn't necessarily have to be false if that's what you really want. But I think our egos can fade away once we realize that the superficial things that we need from somebody when that person doesn't meet up to these things, whether it be the place you live or how much money you have or how much, gifts they can give you or something like that. Even though those things may be important to you at certain times in your life, it's so much deeper what somebody can give you than the superficial things in this world.
And I definitely agree on having criteria for a partner that you're going to co create with. And that's going to be the person you're living with, that's sharing your resources. But I think we have to look at both aspects of this is the criterias of my partner, and then realize that if I'm embodying love with this person, they may take different forms throughout our relationship. They may be incapacitated. They may, have a stroke and not be able to speak or bathe themselves. And now at the beginning of this relationship, you wanted someone that was a provider and all these things. And now you
Mhm.
are fully caring for that person. And so I think we have to know that who they are today, are we willing to love them through whatever other shapes they take?
Yeah, for sure. I think that in the beginning when getting to know somebody, I think it was probably harder a little bit back in the day, but now there's so many free resources about doing the inner work. And I think that the person that you're with needs to take initiative to educate themselves emotionally. Are they already working towards those steps before you meet them? And are they open to learning from you? If I feel like I've dove into this journey and I've had multiple spiritual awakenings in different moments of my life and different relationships that I've had has led me to go deeper and deeper within myself. If somebody's not willing to do that, I mean, that would be difficult, wouldn't it? If
Yeah,
I
definitely.
can't have somebody stuck in their ways. I have to get stuck out of my ways, the black and white thinking.
Most definitely. And I think that's been the biggest thing that my relationship has been is it is awesome to have a partner that is a mirror to you that can gently show you the areas you need to grow in and then you being receptive of growing in those areas and vice versa. I think that's
Mhm.
been the most beautiful part of this relationship for me because it's not even that he has to tell me, "Hey, you're being crazy." Not he's never said that to me, but I think like of an example, and I wrote this in my vows. I brought my little vow book with me.
Aw.
L- Love is seeing the weakness in someone and choosing to protect them. It's choosing to put in the work to become a better person in hopes of never hurting them. So, something I recognized in my husband is he is very willing to self abandon. He's very willing to do anything I say, and I could just rule this whole relationship if I wanted to. And I think for some people, they'd be like, "Oh, hell yeah, that's what I want. I'll just tell them whatever to do." And other people, they'd be like, "Oh, that's a turnoff. I want someone that's strong in their opinion or whatever it might be." But for me, it's been me recognizing that in him without him even saying anything. And then me consciously encouraging him to take initiative and to embody what he really wants. So whether it's what we want to go get for dinner and he's like, "Oh, whatever you want," or it's, how are we going to remodel the house? How are we going to handle this thing and that thing? I think he just from his own past and having to try to fit in with people because he is mixed and he, got rejected from white people and from black people.
Yeah,
He has kind of just abandoned himself most of his life. And so I love that I'm recognizing that in him and helping him to gently embody what is true to him, I guess.
for sure. I think that I definitely need both of us to be vulnerable enough with each other to be unapologetically open and honest about our past, about our boundaries, about our wants, our desires. I love that you see that in him, that he struggles with that and you encourage him to do that. I can very much so be a people pleaser for multiple reasons. And usually it's just fear of rejection. And I would love for my future partner to encourage me to speak my mind and let me know it's safe when I do so.
And I will say that I give credit to someone I dated for a short period of time because they recognized that in me and would constantly be like, "Stop defaulting to whatever I want. You tell me what you want." And at that point in my life, I was not even used to having my own opinion really because I would
Mhm.
just body whatever anybody else wanted because of the
Yeah,
fear of rejection. So I do thank that person for that. I think our relationships teach us so much. And I hate when people get down on themselves and feel like a failure because they've had failed relationships. It's not a failure. There's so much learning that happens when we engage in relationships with others.
yeah, for sure. I've definitely had moments, especially recently, almost 35 years old, and multiple failed relationships. I wasn't just in this past relationship, just he was my fiance and we were looking at houses together and had like this whole dream planned out and then it didn't work out, and it's like, okay, here I am again. But I am very thankful for this person. He taught me a lot about myself and a lot about who I want to be, and he taught me a lot about what I don't want in a partner as well. And I don't think I would have as much strength as I do now if I would have never experienced that. So I do appreciate him. Although he, you know, relationships bring us pain too, and
Mhm.
hurt people. So I do forgive him even if it was painful, but I appreciate him more than anything for sure. One thing
Yeah.
that relationship taught me that I have on my list, I think that there's no merit in texting. And we got to know each other so well well, not so well. That's how we build our relationship. That's how we built our closeness. Texting all day, every day, constantly about anything, everything. And of course, it was like, oh, like they're so into me. I can share how I feel. But moving forward, I will never do that again. I want the bond to be built in person, face to face. I can feel your spirit, look you in your eyes, see your soul through you. How are you in
Yeah, it's hard.
the relationship you're in now? Did you guys like, have you ever experienced that where you're just, like, constantly texting somebody? It's like, and when you're and then you're and I've had those too, like, you're texting somebody, it's like, we would be texting all day long, and it would be, like, this easy flow back and forth, and then we'd get with each other, and it'd be like crickets. It's
Oh.
just it's just like, "Okay, this is, like, a change in energy." I created a false energy and experience with this person through texting that was not reality.
Yeah. And I texting is very limited because you can't control how someone receives your message. So they may be getting a totally different idea than what you're trying to send. And
Mhm.
I know there are so many like long distance relationships. Jordan and I's relationship was I don't know if I call it long distance. We lived 2 hours from each other at first when we first started dating. So it was quite a bit of a distance, but we would FaceTime a lot. So at least there's that added
Oh,
level of
yeah.
seeing how each other reacts and those types
Yeah.
of things. But I
Yeah.
have been in a little bit longer distance where we lived like 5 hours apart, and there was a lot of texting, but there was also a lot of FaceTime.
Mhm. Yeah, I need you to hear the annotation in my voice when I'm speaking and vice versa.
Yes, there's so much in the what is it called? Nonverbal communication.
Oh, yeah.
Have you do you feel like there's ever been a romantic couple in your life that you have seen and you're like, that is what I want."
You and Jordan for sure. I got to witness you guys the first time together this last October when I went out there. I was like, "Oh, they're just so sweet and comfortable and wholesome with each other, and you both serve each other in different ways and both very thoughtful of each other." It was such this easy, natural flow watching you guys together, and I felt comfortable being in your guys' energy as, like, the third wheel, you know? So, yeah, that was you guys are sweet for sure. I'm at work the other day, I was taking care of this woman. She's in her 80s, has a lot of health issues, and her husband was by her side, never left her side. I mean, visiting hours are 8 to 8, and he would be there before I showed up at 7, and he would still be there after I left at 7 at night, and gosh, it makes me tearful thinking about it. That, I think, is the whole epitome of what I would want. He advocated for her, he was gentle to her, he was gentle with us. He called her my love, he'd kiss her head, he'd it was just the most precious thing I ever saw, and I I could just see that he can't imagine losing her, and,
Mm.
just I mean, words to value what I witnessed with their love for each other. And it was they're funny too, witty too, he leaves and he was I mean, he was 80, but, he was in the military, and you could tell by, like, the hat he wore, and he walked around still like you probably wouldn't wanna fuck with him still at 80, and he was very strong. You could tell he was a good-looking man when he was in his younger day, and she goes he's so he's so sweet to the ladies because when he left, she's like, "Don't be flirting with no girls. Don't be picking up no somebody else that can walk next to you now." Like just joking with him, and he would say, like, I would never do that. And she'd say, I know. It was just so they could
Oh,
still have this like sense of humor with each other. And that was on my list
yeah.
too. Like I need somebody with just this belly laugh that we can laugh together every day, a good sense of humor, witty, sometimes raunchy, and not a sense of humor that makes fun of you because you know how you get those. I've witnessed that and I've experienced that. Like if partners make these subtle comments it's funny, but it's at your expense that make you feel dumb or something like backhanded compliments or anything like that. That's not the type of sense of humor I'm talking about. So don't what do my kids call it? Like hoeing each other, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yes.
So that But yeah, definitely I need someone with a sense of humor. And that will be laying, sitting next to me while I'm laying in the hospital 50 years from now,
Yes.
not
I'm
leaving
so
my side.
thankful that Jordan's his dad has been taking care of his mom since Jordan was in high school.
Mhm.
And I can tell he embodies that same commitment to love
Mm.
of if I was, disabled or something, he would be taking care of me. There was this I didn't even think of all the patients I've encountered that have just had beautiful love stories. There's also been some questionable ones, but there's been some beautiful ones. But there was this man I used to work with, and he would speak so highly of his wife. He would just constantly be talking about how amazing she is. Never once did I hear him say anything negative. And I know that's only a glimmer of their relationship, but that in itself tells me how much you respect your partner. And there
Yes.
has to be respect in that relationship. I have talked very highly about my marriage on here because it is great. Doesn't mean that there aren't issues that we work through. It doesn't mean that we don't have bad days. Those are all true, but we respect each other and we ultimately think each other is amazing. So
That's right.
I loved that was the first time I had really, like, seen something and been like, "Wow, I want my husband to talk about me like that."
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I certainly moving forward because I've been that partner in relationships like, "Oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? I gotta go tell my girls and my coworkers about this, like, listen what this motherfucker did," you know? And when it becomes a constant thing, that's probably not the person you vision your love to be given to.
No, and your friends are like, "Girl, stop."
Yeah, like, "What are you doing?" Right. I put this on my list, but now that I'm thinking a little bit more about it, maybe I wouldn't need it as much with the right person. But I give a lot to myself at work and to my children, and I think I'm gonna need several moments of solitude a week just to rejuvenate myself. But also when I do spend that time with my partner, I need their energy to nourish me and also just breathe life back into me. So I need a good balance of that, and I need someone that's able to just accept that I need free time to just meditate and breathe or be creative and not take it personally that, hey, I just kind of need my space right now. And it has nothing to do with anything else other than just me needing a minute.
Absolutely. You
Do you
you
feel like
have to.
that? You,
Yeah, and we have naturally just gotten that because of our work schedules being
hmm.
different, and so we always have a lot of time to ourselves. Maybe not a lot. It's a good balance. There's
Yeah.
been times when it felt like too much and I felt lonely, and then I had to dive within and figure out why I'm feeling lonely.
Yeah.
But yes, it is very much necessary in a relationship. And it's I know we mentioned this before, allowing your partner, not even allowing, because there shouldn't be any control in the relationship, but giving your partner space to have their own hobbies and things like that.
Yeah. For sure. Like, for instance, this podcast. I think it's so wonderful that Jordan is supportive of you and he loves that you're doing this and he's secure enough in your guys' relationship for you to talk about past experiences you've had with other people because ultimately you're perfect for him because of those things that other people have taught you. and not a lot of well, I don't know about a lot or not a lot, but I know personally for me, there's some past relationships I've been in that they would not be secure enough for me to get on here and have these conversations with you, and just so my next relationship, they will have to be completely accepting of me and being on here with you and sharing what we share.
It's nice to have it already in the works because then you're like, "Look, this is me."
Yeah, right. For sure. For
Accept it or
sure.
not.
For sure. Of course, the act of listening, being curious about me when we set boundaries, like, do you when you and Jordan set boundaries with each other, do you find is there a moment where it's because I think this is pretty normal. Is there a moment where you guys get offended by each other's boundaries? Like, how long
No,
does it
that's
take?
been
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you guys need a minute to like, how long does it take for you to process when you set a boundary? Do you get offended by each other? Is it normal? Because for me, that's been normal in my relationships. Like, I set a boundary, the other person gets offended, or if they set a boundary with me, I have to it's gonna take me a good 24 hours to process what I've been told I'm doing wrong. And not that I go, stonewall them for 24 hours and don't talk to them, but for me to be able to give a good response for their needs, I have to first go within and think, well, is this something that hurts me? Does their boundary hurt me in a way? Is it, even a boundary? Have you experienced that with him? Do you take offense to each other's boundaries?
In past relationships, I will say that that was common.
Mhm.
In this relationship, because he has met me with such patience and, like, understanding, I have wanted to reciprocate that from him. So it really
Yeah.
came from him modeling it for me and me saying, "Okay, like, this is my boundary," and him, instead of instantly getting offended, he has such a calm nature, and that's really what initially drew me to him is he's like, okay, he takes accountability right away, and he's like, "I can see why that would hurt you," or, "I didn't even
Aw.
realize I was doing that. I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt you, so yes, I will do that." And there's been times where we all mess up, so we may cross each other's boundary again in the future. I think I've definitely acted out of anger when, "Hey, I've already set this boundary and you crossed it." It's hard for me at that point, so that is something I'm working on. There was an instance where he did something that really offended me, and I I was like, "I need to handle this right." Like, I'm very conscious about not wanting to do anything that's gonna, like, what is it called? Irreparable harm, where you can't come back from it.
Yeah.
And I know myself that I can get nasty when I'm pissed.
Same.
So, I actually went to, a psychic that I met on TikTok, and I got a reading from her, and I was like, "I just really need" she works with spirit guides. "I really need to know how to handle this situation." And she said that my spirit guides were saying, "You need to have a loving conversation with him and give him the ability to do right again." And I was like, "Can you explain how to have a loving conversation? Because I don't know how at this point. I'm so mad."
Mhm.
So I definitely took some time and took some space to, like, breathe, and, like, I do have to write down my thoughts. I have been in the past where I handle conflict through text because I do struggle with getting my words out. That's the neurodivergent in me. But so I did write down, like, key notes of how I felt so that I could stick to the script, and it went pretty well. But
Good.
that's, like, the biggest one I can think of, yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. You and your note-taking organization skills. I like that. I it's hard though to not have conversations through text messaging like we were talking about earlier. It's just a way of life, and you don't get interrupted when you're texting, and you can organize your thoughts and make it perfect in what you wanna say. But
Yeah, we had an instance the other day where it could have went through text message, and, like, he texted me and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." but we can talk about it when you get home." And so then
Perfect.
we talked about it when he got home.
Yeah, I love that. I also need my partner to I need them to be, because we just talked about them supporting us. I need them to have to be passionate about their career, passionate about their hobbies. I don't wanna be the center of your universe. I don't want your every waking and sleeping moment to revolve around what Kayla's doing, what Kayla's thinking. It's overwhelming, and that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody when they're your everything. It's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. I want them to have their own thoughts and aspirations and do what they want, in their day-to-day life,
Absolutely.
what makes their soul happy. There's this book I read recently after this last relationship ended. A lot of people Don Miguel Ruiz, I don't know if I'm saying that he wrote The Four Agreements. That's a very
Oh,
famous
okay,
book.
yeah.
He also wrote another book called The Mastery of Love. It is I think it's the most precious book I've ever read.
I need to read
Oh my
this.
gosh,
I'm
and
adding
it's
it to my list right now.
yeah, and it's a short it's like the same length as The Four Agreements. If it's a very easy read. He's just so wholesome and kind and straight to the point, and he puts things in different perspectives and different scenarios like in the world, and I just loved his perspective on that. Yep, The Mastery of Love. I think I may when I meet somebody in the future, I think I may read that book again just to
That's
get
a
a
good idea.
a reminder of it. Yeah. Do you find you and Jordan forgiving each other quickly? I need a quick forgive. I'll forgive somebody so quick, but I also will hold that grudge if I feel like they have this contempt and resentment for me. And so in the past, a lot of relationships, just contentment and resentment just kept snowballing and snowballing, and there was no saving the relationship at all. But I think when two people can come together and have those conversations, even if you're mad for like a day or two, can you still come back and have those conversations and forgive each other and let it go? I I can't. It's such a pet peeve of mine. Like it's something that's like water under the bridge. It wasn't that big a deal, and you constantly bring it back up and bring it back up and bring it back up. Every single time there's a fight, you bring that same thing back up. Like you can't even resolve one thing because you're bringing up 3 other things. I can't
Yeah,
that
that's
way.
not healthy.
That's not a healing love at all. I need a healing love.
Mhm. I think one of the biggest things I needed in a partner, I'm gonna go back to my my list here from my
Please do.
vows. Someone that is a gentle calm, a safe space, and I don't think I had ever really felt safe, and I think part of feeling safe in a relationship is being fully accepted for who you are. So, if
Mhm.
they're automatically, like, off the jump, telling you, "Oh, well, I think it's really horrible that you did." I mean, it's one thing to, like, be accountable for the things you've done in the past, but if they can say, "Okay, thank you for admitting that to me. Let's not do that in this relationship."
For sure.
Patient and kind. Patience, I've mentioned before, is something that I struggle with wholeheartedly. And that is something that Jordan is teaching me as a part of being my mirror. He is teaching me how to be patient because he is a very patient person. And I love that I'm learning that. I think your romantic partner should be someone that you can grow with. So, knowing, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but knowing that who they are today might not be who they are in 10 years, and being conscious about growing with each other. So, I think especially, our thoughts, our beliefs change in the past 5 years. My whole belief system has fully changed. So,
Mhm.
had someone been with me that whole time, are they able to flex with that? Or, I mean, it is possible that you just won't align in the future. I love this quote from Abraham Hicks. She says that in your wedding vows, you should just say, "I like you pretty good. Let's see how it goes."
I've heard that. I love her. I haven't listened to her in a while. I think I'm gonna plug her back into YouTube today. She's hilarious to me.
Yes. I love to listen to her while I'm cleaning the house or something.
Mhm. See how it goes.
Yep. Are there any other big things that stick out for you? I will say that going into this relationship, just because of, I think we do focus on things that we got burned on in the past, in usually our most recent past. So going into this relationship, I did need someone who's financially stable. Now I know we may fall in love and we're married and he
Mhm.
may not be able to provide in the future because of a disability. That's different than
Completely
not
different.
being right, not being a provider and all of those things. So I definitely agree with you. I needed someone that was willing to at least support themselves. And I went into it too telling him like, "Look, I like to go on vacation. I like to travel.
Mhm.
So we're going to need to work that into the budget."
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge one, going on vacation and traveling. Very big one. My vision of love is definitely going to be seeing different places, learning about different things. I think moving forward in my next relationships, when I start my next relationship, because I swear there's only going to be one more. When I start to get to know people again, are they going to are they making a conscious effort right now to expand, grow, learn about their what's deep in their soul, what they want, and is it something that they're passionate about doing for their whole life? We're on a constant continuum of learning our whole entire life. I don't think that we can stop evolving. I mean, I suppose some people can stop evolving, but are you actively, consciously trying to evolve to be a better person, or is are you changing your mind about things just because you're going more towards your soul purpose? What's deep in your heart that just makes you feel closer to God and closer within yourself? And so I want somebody I can just grow with, get close with, someone I have a deep trust for and that trusts me as well, and someone that can just accept my past and accept me because I'm not perfect. And I'm sure if I meet somebody at some point in my life now, mid 30s, I'm sure they're not going to be perfect either. So I think that's it. I'll keep adding to my list that I wrote to the universe, maybe even taking some things away as I evolve during this time. I think all our listeners should at least attempt to do that too if they haven't found somebody. And if they do already have the love of their life, we'd love to hear from you if you want to write in to our
Yeah, share your
email or
stories with us.
yeah, share your stories. Or if you have any questions, go ahead and write in and we will answer your questions as well. Thank you all for being here with us today. We love you and we hope you have a beautiful week.
Namaste.
Namaste.